Today, we're going to welcome some more Bermudian icons, people who are contributing greatly to the safety of so many in our community. Let's give a warm TDH welcome to our very special guest for the day. We've got our friends from SCARS, Debbie Ray Rivers and Bradley White. Hello, folks. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Let me turn. The crowd was going pretty crazy for you just now. I got to ask you before we jump into anything, right? What's your favorite non-alcoholic thing to order at the bar?
Hmm.
Good thinking.
Pina colada.
Pina colada.
Yeah.
Okay. Debbie. What you got? Fruit punch with ginger beer. That seems popular.
Well, uh, something with ginger.
Ginger.
Something
Okay.
with ginger beer, ginger ale. I like that. I wrote down that mojito that you mentioned earlier. So
You gotta try the mojito. It's
I'm
delicious.
going to be asking for that.
Okay. Yeah. And look, if they don't know what you're talking about, they need to get in a new industry. Come on, everyone knows now, right? But,
Yes.
thank you both for doing this. This is the first time in years we've had two people on, so thank you both for stopping by and engaging about such important community conversations. For those who may not know Debbie, just explain, and we have to do this every time just because there may be someone new tuning in who has no idea what SCARS is. Just explain, if you will, what SCARS is and its purpose.
Yeah, so SCARS is a Bermuda registered charity whose mission is to reduce the risk of children being sexually violated in our community and being an advocate and a voice for those children and for their affected families. So our work in Bermuda is basically teaching adults what they can do to protect every child in their life, because sexual abuse is preventable. That's the good news. And there are things that we all need to do. So SCARS offers free prevention education to our community, and we continue to keep the message out there because we have yet to eradicate children from being sexually violated. So we're everywhere. We provide awareness and education.
Indeed. And today we're talking about parenting from a place of healing. What does that actually mean in practical, everyday terms?
Well, first we have to remember that parents were once children themselves, right? And we need to really recognize and think about what happens when a child is sexually violated. What happens when a child has been traumatized and abused. And those emotions can be tremendously affected when we're children. And those childhood wounds could follow us into our adulthood. And so parenting may look like something that maybe we take from our childhood into our adulthood when we become a parent. And so we have to remember where these responses coming from. So if we're a parent and we've been sexually violated as a child, we think about all the emotions that a child goes through when they're being sexually harmed, right, and abused. A child may feel fear. So we have to think about these emotions as children, and then they just don't go away when we become a parent, right, and become an adult. Many times they follow us into our adulthood. I know I'm a survivor myself, and then became a parent for two wonderful girls. And my scars, unbeknownst to me, carried over into my adulthood. Because I pushed down my pain for many years, but it did come out later on. So some of those emotions, Jamel, could be, you grow up fearful. Sex offenders are bullies. They use sex as a means of obtaining power. So, if you may go through life feeling fearful with somebody who's a bully, or if you are have a relationship with somebody who's bullying, that can be very frightening. You could go through life when your survivor walks in a room, or if it was a family member, you may feel that fear as an adult when they walk into that room. So that fear may carry over with you, right? Because perpetrators exert power. So that may bring fear into your little, emotional being. You could bring into parenthood guilt. Sex offenders, when you're little, they blame children. And so you as an adult, you may always feel like you've done something wrong, or you may always
Right.
be defensive,
Hmm.
right? You may have these feelings of unworthiness that may carry on into your adulthood when you're a parent. You know, unfounded guilt. So you may always feel guilty. If you were sexually abused as a child and now you're a parent, it may bring on some triggers of body shame, right? You know, because it's there something about sexual abuse. When you're sexually violated, there's this shame, this unfounded shame that doesn't belong to you, but it's there. That may follow you into your parenthood, right? Into when you become a parent.
Yeah, but so how can we how can unresolved trauma like that, all of what you just explained, whether from childhood or adult experiences, quietly shape the way someone parents? Like, how does it shape that?
Well, if it's anger, you can always be angry with your kids. If you haven't dealt with your anger from your childhood, that may carry over into your parenting.
Mhm. Interesting. Debbie, do you have anything? Brenda Lee, sorry, do you have anything you want to add in there?
Yeah, so to piggyback on with what Debbie said, first of all, when you're dealing with children, especially from a parent that has dealt with trauma, you have to have that parent slow down and listen, responding first without reacting. People in trauma tend to react first and then respond after, and by that time, the child shuts down.
Mm,
So when it comes to your second question of how can you resolve trauma, we need to stop overreacting. We need to avoid difficult conversations.
mm,
In other words, don't hyperventilate,
mm,
because the numbing and shutting down and the disconnecting of a child can happen.
mm. Interesting. Um, Self-awareness can be very uncomfortable, and it's something that even, I mean, just a regular person's people, a lot of people are not self-aware. What are some signs that a parent may need to pause and do their own healing work? Like, okay, you've got an issue, you need to, maybe see someone.
Yeah, so holding resentments,
Mhm.
that's real. Holding resentments from people in your life who let you down, who maybe didn't believe you. And then when you're become a parent, you're obviously in a relationship. To have a baby, you're in a relationship with someone. You may carry on those resentments into that relationship. Trust issues, not trusting everyone. Maybe, not wanting your children to go anywhere because, you don't trust anyone. That's very normal. It could be, angry all the time. People, when you were little, didn't protect you, so you may be those emotions may carry over into parenting. You may run to addiction. If you suffer with the disease of addiction, you may numb out. You may want to escape. So, and being a parent isn't easy. That comes on with more responsibility, right? And you're responsible for these little ones. But if you're involved in some sort of substance abuse or drinking, pornography, that is going to affect you as a parent. Let's just be honest, right? Feeling unworthy from your own childhood pain. Now we're talking about parenting from a place of being violated as a child. That this is where it all comes in, right? If you have not healed your own pain and then you become a parent, and I know that firsthand, that may follow you into parenting. Not trusting anyone. You may shelter your child. You may, have issues at work with people because, you weren't believed as a child, and then you work with somebody who's, questioning you, calling in sick a lot. All of these things may tell you, okay, wait a minute, something might be going on with me. And the way, as Brenda Lee said, the way you respond, pausing, thinking, where is this coming from? And so, even body shame, right? And then, we know that emotions get stored in our body. We know that. We've done a few shows on that. And so, really figuring out, what's going on with me? Why am I feeling depressed? Why is, every time I see this person at a family event, because 90% of people we know, love, or trust that sexually harm children, why then do I leave that event and then I'm taking it out on my kids or my partner? Really thinking about where these emotions are coming from.
Audience, I'll get to your questions and comments. I see quite a few coming through. Brenda Lee, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yes, and to add on with what Debbie said, some of these people want to control everything, their day-to-day life, what's going on. And when they lose that control, their whole day is just disrupted. So, they need to look at and have that self-awareness, because, you become constantly overwhelmed with just day-to-day living in general. So imagine that parent that has trauma that they haven't dealt with.
Yeah, indeed. We've got a lot of questions coming through, but just want to get through this. What are healthy, realistic steps parents can take to begin their healing journey without feeling overwhelmed or ashamed?
Yeah, share your secret. Share with somebody what happened to you when you were little, because that's real. Find someone you can trust. Find someone that you can be honest with without judgment or shame. Share it with the partner in your life. Hopefully, do a SCARS training. We provide a brochure in our training on how to support a survivor. We survivors need support through the journey of our life. We can't say that enough. Someone also who will hold you accountable, who will remind you, hey, listen, Debbie, I can tell this is a trigger. What's going on? Let's talk about it. And it's hard for male survivors. It really is, because males aren't as emotional as women, according to research. But, really encouraging your partner to share with what's going on, why they're feeling this way, why are they feeling they don't trust, why is their body being triggered? Psychological intervention is huge, and some people run to exercise, art therapy. There's many forms to heal, spiritual healing, but really, putting people in your life that you trust, that you can be honest with, and that will hold you accountable.
Indeed. Debbie, did you want to, Brenda, sorry, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, so to take it back on Debbie, practice emotional awareness. I'm triggered. I'm overwhelmed. I need a minute. And better yet, practice self-compassion. They need to remind themselves that healing is a journey and it's not a punishment.
Indeed. And I think that is absolutely great advice right there. Let's go to the audience. This is obviously for them, it's engaging. We've got quite a few questions. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, does SCARS actively engage in training, prosecution, and defense counsel via Bermuda Bar? Doing so could help shape in good ways and how victims are cross-examined in courtrooms.
Dr. Richardson, that's a great question. I have met someone that would be really great at that here from the UK. And I have mentioned that, and it's a reminder to follow up on it. So I think it's a great idea, although I know that our prosecution has worked, and our legal counsel. We've trained the Bar Association, members of the Bar Association who chose to come to that 3-hour training. That was a few years ago. We've trained the Department of Public Prosecution in the SCARS training and their team. And so we know now, we have to come from a trauma-informed lens when we're interviewing children and prosecuting children. But there is somebody on the island who I know has worked in the UK, and I've mentioned it, and I'm going to follow up on that. So thank you for reminding me of that. Of someone else to come in and train, and we have had training in the past where we've brought on a judge that came to Bermuda and trained lawyers and DPP and defense lawyers. It was quite a few years ago at the Argus building, but I think it's time to follow up on that. So thank you, Dr. Richardson.
Indeed. We've got another one. Mark Arthur is asking, is SCARS keeping abreast with all the news being released from the Epstein files?
Funny you asked that question, my dear friend, Mark. If that's the Mark Clark I know. But yeah, I hadn't really been, I hear about it constantly on the news all the time. Sat next to somebody on the airplane to Bermuda last Saturday and asked me about Epstein. And so thanks to a friend, I did my due diligence, and I didn't even know where this island was, where, a lot of this abuse occurred, allegedly occurred, and did occur. But I did do my research and on Netflix, and I watched some of the Epstein 3 hours of watching the Epstein files. And I just can't understand, really why it was covered up, why people didn't do the right thing, why people in power didn't react responsibly. And for me, that means lack of prevention education, lack of awareness, lack of what Bermuda does. Is there is a voice in Bermuda for advocacy. And yeah, I mean, if it was a child from Bermuda who's now an adult, we would have a voice on that stage. But this is in the United States. And so, it's wrong when people don't stand up for children, when people know and do nothing. That's a choice. That is a choice.
Well, that said, this question's on the back of that. Dr. Kitty Lam was asking, what do you think can be done to stop the whispering and encouraging people to take action and protect children? Because when you look at that, that's on a big scale that came out eventually, but it surrounded some heavy hitting people and a lot of silence and whispering and a lack of holding people accountable, right?
Yeah. And you know what it comes down to, Jamal? A lack of education, a lack of prevention education. You change attitudes and behaviors when you teach adults what happens to children when they're sexually violated, and you send a clear message that it's not okay. It's not okay to use children for sexual gratification or power, and get that message far and wide. It should be on every billboard in the United States. It should be in every, in government buildings, what we have at TCD in the post office, behind every bus, in every classroom, in every camp, gym, sporting organization, parents to do the training. When Bermuda trained 5% of our adult population in prevention, that's when we saw the tipping point. And the US has to get to a tipping point, and they have to do everything they can, because the training we use in Bermuda is a US-based training. And so it's possible. But the United States is a lot larger than Bermuda. And so, they have a lot more work to do. But it's possible, because prevention's possible.
Yeah. Anthony Pete's asking, a client asks regarding training, if there is mitigation for a person who has been impacted by abuse, does SCARS support them?
So for those that are impacted by abuse, many have called me after a training, and I've supported them and then recommended other resources for healing. SCARS also started a Survivor Hour show, and we have a cable TV show called Survivor Hour, and we have a monthly radio show on Power 95. And we have on each of those shows a clinical psychologist. And many times that's almost free counseling. We have Dr. Alicia Hancock who comes on, and we have a lot of subjects. We talk about healing. We talk about how the body keeps the score. We talk about how adults should respond when a child has been abused. And we do free educational training throughout the month. And, it's always from a lens of our shows, our Survivor Hour shows are from the lens of a survivor. There's a lot of shame around sexual abuse and a lot of silence, but we learn through our people with lived experiences. That's how we learn. And I've never had one survivor say in 14 years, stop your work. This training is too triggering. I've gone back in my healing. In fact, we've had hundreds upon hundreds of people who say, and thousands through our evaluation results that say, this has helped. I've done it 5 times and I've still learned something. It's helped in my healing. It's affirmed me. It's validated me.
Yeah, I think that is the reward, right? That is the reward in the work you do. Charles H. Justice II, he says, asking, what if the adult doesn't see or know that they need help? How do we help them to go for help?
Yeah, that's a choice. Healing is a choice. And it's hard. It's tough. It's tough to admit I need help. It's tough to say I'm not perfect. It's tough to say that, I have scars from my childhood wounds. That is tough. But healing is a choice. But it doesn't only help us, it helps other people in our life when we do that.
Yeah. Brenda Lee, you want to add to that?
And saying that, as adults, we meet different people every day in our lives. go on what you're feeling. Be able to be that friend. Be open with them. Speak to them. Let them know that you're there for them. Get that friendship where they trust you. And maybe they will talk to you and you will be able to guide them to the necessary people that they need to talk to get help.
Yeah.
Can I say, Jamal, when we get help,
Mhm.
it almost helps that generational cycle, right? Because we're breaking the cycle, right? And so, when we admit our weaknesses and what is a cause of our wounds, we can model that behavior with the next generation, right? And it takes resilience. This isn't a one-time fix. Healing is a lifetime.
Yeah.
It takes a
Yeah.
lifetime. And so, anybody who knows me knows my scars. And one of them is trust. It is hard to trust people when you've been betrayed as a little one.
And that brings us to another question right here by Polly Rich. Like, my thought has always been, with all the training, how would you know there is not an abuser amongst the class?
Good question. So you never know if there's an abuser in the class, if there's a pedophile in the class. We don't know because pedophiles and abusers come to training. For whatever reason, they do come. We can see sometimes in the classroom just by facial and body language that can possibly be someone, but we're not there to investigate if that person is or isn't. We leave that up to the proper authorizations to do that.
Can I also piggyback on that? Perpetrators do come to SCARS trainings. How do I know? Because the man that abused me as a little one came to a SCARS training. And anybody who does a SCARS training will hear that story. Sex offenders come to trainings. You know why? Because they're mandated to. Many organizations in our country mandate that anybody who works with children must do SCARS training, and many of them every 3 years. And so there are sex offenders who want to be around children. There are sex offenders that work with kids. And so they will be mandated to come into a SCARS training. We don't know who they are because they don't walk into a SCARS room with a sign on their head. I say it all the time that says they're sexually attracted to children. They use children for power. Nobody has 20/20 vision into that. Nobody knows who. They don't even identify themselves when they come in a family, or work in an organization that is responsible for children. So we don't know when they come into our rooms at all. We have no sign of that, but they are hearing the message and they know that we're watching and we're teaching, and there is a deterrent. So, there's nothing they can walk away with that's going to, make them do this more. What they're walking away with is people's watching.
Yeah,
People
indeed.
know about this.
Two more questions from the audience. Travel and Charlie's asking, with the training, will a refresher option be available for recertification?
Yes. In fact, we continue to update our training curriculums thanks to the Darkness to Light program. They offer curriculums and they're constantly updating theirs. So we're on our third 3-hour Stewards of Children training that we've provided to our community. We one of them was 2 hours, and 2 of them were 3 hours. Now we're working on the next 2-hour recertification. It should be available sometime by the end of March. That Darkness to Light is developing, and we will bring that to the community for those that have to be recertified every 3 years. Because sexual abuse hasn't gone away, we have to continue this. This is life-saving information, saving a child from experiencing trauma right through their adulthood. Why wouldn't we want to continue that? We need to. And so SCARS is now updating that next curriculum, and it's going to include things like AI, because we have to always be up on this. Hasn't gone away.
Forgot about the AI thing. Yes, that's a conversation in itself. Dr. Anthony Richardson, he says, does SCARS educate border officials, customs, immigration, airlines on how to spot children being trafficked into or out of Bermuda?
Dr. Richardson, great question. Another great question from you. We have not, I should say. We've never had a group from customs. We've never had a group from the airlines. Sex trafficking is real. We would love to train what the SCARS training is about, how to learn the facts, find out what sexual abuse is, what to do to minimize the opportunity for it to happen, how to talk to our own children about body safety, how to recognize signs, and those signs would come into this, obviously, this child trafficking. But it's a good question, because we don't specifically train on child trafficking, but I think if we had a group that came into our room, then SCARS would reach out to the Darkness to Light and get some of their information on trafficking. But recognizing signs would be a big one, and then how to react responsibly. So if Border Control and the airlines asked us to do that, we would find a way to do that, and get that information to provide to them.
Yes.
Alrighty. Before you head out, for those who may not recognize patterns they want to change, what resources is SCARS offering to help parents grow and heal and protect the next generation?
So, so as I mentioned, the Survivor Hour shows are for our survivors. We also recommend, during our training, we provide a resource sheet, and it has many options for resources of healing in Bermuda, because we have a lot of great agencies out there. The Women's Resource Center offers free counseling for women. The Center Against Abuse offer counseling for those who have been abused. The Family Center offer free counseling for children and families. We know that there are great counseling organizations out there, private counseling, mass counseling for men, by men. Simply Bloom is a new one, mental health specialist, and that number is on our resource sheet. Once you take the training, you receive that resource sheet. It's also on our website, scarsbermuda.com. There's Child and Adolescent Services, there's the EAP, there's focus counseling, when it comes to addiction. So we have a lot of great resources for healing in this country, but healing comes in many forms.
Yeah. Brenda Lee, did you want to add anything to that?
So I said we also are there. We actually want people to break the silence. We build awareness and support healing, so that children in our society can be in a safe environment, whether that's in your home, in your extracurricular activities, during school. So we do recommend that come on board, take the SCARS training. We do have pamphlets that we give out in our training in how to support a survivor of child sexual abuse, a support guide to those that have children in their lives but may not be parents yet. So sign on to scarsbermuda.com and please visit our website so you can get all up to dates on the Survivor Hour TV, because that's all taped and in our website, as well as even our daily hour that we're on today. It's all on our website for you to see. So please join us again. That's www.scarsbermuda.com.
And on March 30th, we'll get a time for you folks. Join me. We're going to do it together. And the next time that these awesome folks will be on is April, which is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, right?
Correct. That is correct.
All right. So thank you both for the information. Thank you both for what you do. And in Debbie's case in particular, I can only imagine turning such hurt into empowerment. How, what it does to you internally sometimes may not show publicly. So thank you for using your pain to empower and protect others. And I think it's something that is only truly going to be appreciated when people do the training, to be honest, unless they've been impacted themselves. So thank you both. And I look forward to the training. March 30th, we're going to get a time. But audience, if you're interested, send us an email. I'd love to get anyone who has not been CERS certified to join us in this class. It's 3 hours long. So I know it's a Monday, it's a work day. We'll figure something out. I'm sure your employer will be understanding. It's for a good cause. And if others in your company aren't CERS certified, we can make a deal, get everyone in your company to do it. So again, thank you both. And is there anything you want to say before you head out?
Yeah, I just want to say, if you're a survivor and you're listening to this show, just know that your scar does not identify you. Your heart does. And healing is possible. It really is, but it takes time, and it takes a lot of support from the people in our lives to be patient, to be understanding. But it is it is a duty of ours to get healed. It really is, because our unhealed trauma can affect others, including our own children.
Yes.
And so we encourage healing. We really do. But know that what happened to you as a little one was not your fault, and understand why you respond the way you do, because sometimes that can be from unhealed hurt and pain.
Yes.
That's key. What happened to you when you were young is not your fault.
Exactly.
Debbie, Brenda Lee, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you. Same to
Thanks,
you.
Joanne. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Debbie Ray Rivers and Brenda Lee, folks, do us a favor. If you're streaming with us online, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. These are some of the most important community conversations we will have on this show. We're going to take our final break, and we'll be back. And we've got an easy one. Stick with us. It's the Daily Play after this break. All righty, welcome back. Thanks so much to Debbie Ray Rivers and Brenda Lee White and everyone at SCARS who continues to do the work in our community. Folks, again, if you are streaming with us, whatever platform you're streaming with us on, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Folks, it is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia. Bermuda Trivia will be at the Black Vendors Market at Bacardi this Friday, so you can get games straight from us. So make sure you follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms to see what we'll have. There will be a wheel. Spin that wheel and you might get something. All right. So check it out. Bacardi Black Vendors Market this Friday, starting at, I think, 4. All right, Bermuda, it's time for Daily Play. Daily Play, it's a remember when. All right, are you ready? Remember when. Here we go. Oh, can you hear my, let me know if you can hear this, folks. Oh, I can't hear it. Hold on. Can you hear the countdown? Let me know if you can hear it, because I know we've had some issues. I'm on a different board today. Can you hear the board? Could you hear the music? Okay, you heard it. All right, let me remember what channel that is. All right, that is channel the chat. All right, chat. All right, let's do this. So here's the question of the morning. Not the question, but the Daily Play. What year was SCARS founded by Debbie Ray Rivers? At the buzzer, Traveling Trotty and Stacey Ann Brown and Jewel Eve, 2011. You are correct, 2011. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. You got it. You got it. Folks, thank you for rocking with us today. Really, really appreciate you, coming back after a long weekend off, thought you forgot about us, but no, seriously, thank you all so much for rocking with us today. As I wrap it up regarding the budget, man, I just honestly hope that Bermudians feel some relief. I really do. I really feel that this budget feels good. It sounds good. And I really hope that next year this time, people can will look and sound like they felt the relief. That's my hope. As far as the conversation with Debbie and Brenda Lee, they're always difficult conversations to have. As they talk, I just think about the young people in my life, and you just hope, because the hardest thing as a parent or a guardian is not being able to be with your children 24/7, right? And being able to protect them. And I really am grateful for the work that they're doing. And hopefully, if any of you are not SCARS certified, you will join us on March 30th. You can hit me on email. You can email the Daily Hour directly, engage@thedailyhour.com. Let's get the certification done and ensure as many of us know what to look for to protect our children. All right. Daily inspiration, I'll take it from my third book, Voices of Change. And this quote pretty much says, Bermuda has so many talented people, too talented to continue to make the rich richer invest in yourselves. Do what you will with that. All righty. All right, folks, we got to get out of here. So that said, please make sure, if you haven't already, you subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, HSBC Bermuda, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. VR is out. Peace.